Jake Paul challenged Mike Tyson to a fight, an actual fight. Jake Paul
If
is
they-
not a professional boxer, and he's taking on a professional boxer. And he was the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. It's a fun sport. So I recommend it. Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to Blam Blam Truckers, where I think I know my name is Buse, and that's Bees.
Are you
And
sure?
tonight, I am this time. What are we talking about, Bees?
We're talking about the Tyson-Jake Paul fight, coming to you live on Netflix in July 20th of 2024. That's right, Mike Tyson is coming back out of retirement for a non-exhibition match. That's right, he's going to be fighting again against Jake Paul, internet YouTube celebrity. You're probably familiar with the Paul brothers. His other brother, Logan Paul, is in the WWE part-time. And,
Did not know that.
oh yeah. And they're both selling their Prime Energy drinks, so free shout out for their Prime Energy drinks, which I've never tried and cannot recommend. They could be great. I have no idea. So he challenged Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, challenged Mike Tyson to a fight, an actual fight. And I doubt we're going to spend our normal 20 minutes talking about this, because there's not much to say. One of my buddies calls it the Tyson RuPaul fight. I don't really think that's fair, but I do think it's funny. I don't think Jake Paul really has much of a chance. Tyson is not in his prime. If he was in his prime, Jake Paul would
Definitely
not
wouldn't
have a chance. Jake Paul is not a professional boxer, and he's taking on a professional boxer. He's made
I'm just laughing because
Go ahead.
you're like, I just laugh at you're like, I don't think Paul has a chance, and if Tyson was in prime, he definitely wouldn't have a chance.
No. Tyson is one of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport. Okay.
Yeah.
I was a kid watching Mike Tyson. The one fight I didn't see was the Spinks fight because we had HBO when I was a kid. And there was a lot of stuff on HBO my parents wouldn't let me watch, but the Tyson fights they would. And I loved him. I got to see him when he got taken down for the first time. He was the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He had all three heavyweight belts in America. He had one. Did he win the Olympic fight? I believe he was an Olympic champion, but we could probably look that up and find out. Or you guys could, all you truckers out there. He was just unbeatable under his original trainer, and then he signed with Don King, and he got a little bit worse, and a little bit slower, and a little bit worse, and a little bit slower, and he got trapped in all the trappings of being rich, and the man's made over $600 million in his lifetime, and he's lost all of it. He's made other money since, but he made over $600 million boxing, and he blew it all. So
81-82 Junior Olympics.
Really, gold medal?
Yep.
Nice. But it started with going with Don King, and not that there's anything wrong with going with Don King, but his previous manager made sure that Tyson stayed on the straight and narrow, that he kept up training for his fights, and he just stayed on that narrow path to victory. And Tyson was just an amazing brawler. Back in the day, he was not as great of a technical fighter as much as he was what he was able to do, because his punching power is just phenomenal. And he's fast. He punches fast. He's not the strongest puncher in the history of boxing, but he's one of the top 10. And the strongest punch doesn't make you the best boxer either. What Tyson would do is he would get in, he'd get inside people's defenses, because he was smaller. He had to deal with that height disadvantage and then reach disadvantage. So he'd get inside their defenses. He'd just charge right in. He'd take a couple of glancing blows off of his head, off of his mitts, off of his shoulders, whatever, getting close. And he had a 1-2 to the body. Once in a while, it was a 1-2-3 to the body, and the guy would drop. And that's what happened in the Spinks fight. That's what happened in so many of his fights. Go watch Tyson's quickest knockouts. We're talking less than one round. I don't remember how many fights he had that were less than one round.
Well, he holds because I was looking up the Olympic thing. He holds the Junior Olympic record for quickest knockout, 8 seconds.
Yeah. The Sphinx fight was 15 or 19 seconds. That was the first ridiculously fast Tyson fight. He was dynamic to watch. Well, I got to see the Buster Douglas fight. I got to stay up for that one because my parents agreed to let me stay up for it because they figured it was going to take a minute and a half after the show started, if that. But Buster Douglas outsmarted Tyson. He outboxed him. He trained specifically to do this fight against Tyson. So whenever Tyson would close, Buster would retreat, or he would lock him up so he couldn't. That's when you grab their arms with your arms, so he couldn't punch him at close range. And Buster does get knocked down later in the fight, but Tyson had not gone 12 rounds or 15 rounds or however long the fight was for in his career. I don't think he'd ever gone 12 rounds in his professional career up to that point. And he's winning everything by knockout. He's just phenomenal boxer. And now he's not even 60 years old yet. He hasn't lost his strength. He's lost some of his speed, but he hasn't lost his strength. Like, there is no way Tyson should go into the ring with a modern day fighter, like a professional, top of their game, 22-year-old professional fighter. I think that would be
But
very
Jake Paul
bad
is not that.
But Jake Paul is not that. And Jake Paul is training. Jake Paul is a better fighter than I am, probably a better fighter than I'll ever be. He's fought in a couple of challenge MMA rounds, but he's always fighting people who are past their prime or aren't professional fighters. And Tyson's just going to destroy the guy. He is. Like, I don't see it ending any other way. And I think it's going to be fun to watch, but I don't think Jake Paul realized exactly what he's getting into here. There's a reason why MMA fighters rarely switch over to boxing, because boxing is a very specialized sport. And boxers...
No, they switch to wrestling.
Yeah, they do. There's nothing wrong with that. And boxers will go into wrestling and pro wrestling, because pro wrestling is staged. It's not fake. The pro wrestlers are some of the greatest athletes in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why some of them can go into MMA and do okay. Few of them become champions. In fact, the only one I can think of is Brock Lesnar. And, what's his name? Hager. Jake Hager?
Sure.
You're just going to say sure? All right. Anyway, you don't know. I know.
I don't follow the sports ball or the sports punchy or the sports
There's
key.
no balls in this. Well, there are, but they're not the kind you throw
on
to
the
each
men.
WWE football players go to WWE. It's a great, or professional wrestling. It's a great place for them to go. That's the kind of athletics you need to become a pro wrestler. You need that drive, and you need a lot of the skills they have. You got to be able to pull it back because it's staged, and it's stage fighting. You're not supposed to hurt your opponent in pro wrestling. It is. I don't want to say it's fake, because again, these men are incredible athletes. There is not another athlete on the planet that is asked to go out and perform every single night of the week, or 6 out of 7 nights of the week. And pro wrestlers do that. You only see them on television once or twice a week, but they're doing what they call dark matches or house shows the rest of the week, where they're not being televised. They're just playing to the crowd. The people come in, pay your ticket, and they get paid off of ticket sales. Yeah, I'm not denigrating WWE here, but this fight, I don't see a way for Jake Paul to actually be able to take Tyson. I just don't see it. But this leads to the question, because when Tyson was knocking people out, we asked but for these ridiculous purses at the time, because this is the late 80s, early 90s that he's doing this stuff. They would ask that ridiculous question at the time: would you step into the ring with Mike Tyson for $1 million? And I'm going to ask Buse that. Buse, would you step into the ring with Mike Tyson for $1 million? Because this fight is, Jake Paul is claiming they're going to make a $300 million purse on this fight.
So I would, no matter how long I lasted, I'd get $1 million?
Yep.
Yes, I would.
Oh, I don't think you're making the right call there. I don't know if $1 million is worth the pain you'd have to go through fighting Mike Tyson.
Look, it might not be the right call, but
or the brain damage.
Bees, you've known me for, over
Quarter of a century.
quarter of a century. I don't always make the right decisions.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. Hopefully your wife would stop you from doing it. But Jake Paul is actually answering that question. Would you step into the ring with Mike Tyson for a ridiculous amount of money? And he's training, and he's probably going to put up a decent fight. He's quicker. He's going to try and stay out of his way. I hope. But I don't think he's got it in him because Tyson's not the same fighter he was when Buster Douglas beat him. After the Buster
Douglas?
Rubber baby buggy muppers. After the Buster Douglas fight. This is why real television does takes.
Yes.
So after the Buster Douglas fight, which, by the way, great Sega game, was James Buster Douglas boxing. So after that fight, he did not immediately change his style, but when he came back from prison, he reworked all of his techniques. He became a much more technical fighter. If you watch the Holyfield Tyson fight, where he bit Holyfield's ear off, that was an amazing technical fight. Tyson is not a brawler anymore. Now, with the skill set he has up here, going into this fight, I don't think Jake Paul has a chance. You don't go up against a boxer in a boxing ring, you're going to lose. They'll either beat you in the technical side, or boxers are the strongest punchers in the world. Your average boxer is a better hitter than your average MMA guy. And they have to be, because they spend all their time hitting. They don't focus on kicks at all. You go up against a boxer in a boxing ring, you're probably going to lose. You take a boxer into an MMA octagon, and now the octagon guy has a big advantage over him. I'm not saying the boxer won't show, depending on the boxer, but it's a specialized skill set. It's a specialized form of fighting.
It's a different type of fight. I mean,
oh yeah,
in MMA you've got throws, grabs, it's not
kicks.
But with kicks. With boxing, you got these.
Yeah. I just don't.
And your mind.
Don't get me wrong. It's on Netflix, so most of us can watch it for no additional charge, and I probably will. But
I might even.
Do a little research first. I highly recommend going on the YouTube and watching, because almost all of Tyson's fights are on YouTube. Maybe not that latest exhibition match he did when he came out of retirement for it, but the rest of them are all on YouTube. They're from the late 80s, so we're talking 40 years ago, mid 80s to late 80s. He was fighting when The Simpsons first came out. So yeah, before The Simpsons first came out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to enjoy seeing Mike fighting again. That just went bad, dude. He scared Joe Rogan. Did you ever hear this story?
No.
So you guys are familiar with the Joe Rogan Experience, his podcast. So when he moved to where he is now, in his new home office thing that he does, he was going to make a smaller table so that he's closer to the guest. And he interviewed Tyson twice before he tells this story. He may have interviewed him again since then, I don't know. But he interviewed Tyson twice. And the first time he interviewed Tyson was like a pussycat, just a nice, friendly guy. They had a beer together, I think. Just had a good time with him. No problem. But the second time he interviewed him was while Tyson was training for a fight. He scared the heck out of Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's a fighter. Joe Rogan's been doing fighting most of his life. He's studied 3 or 4 different martial arts, including judo and taekwondo and some other stuff. Is he a world-class fighter? I don't think so. Is he better than me? Yeah. Is he better than most people? Yeah, he's been a fighter most of his life. And just the aggression and the intensity Tyson was having actually frightened Joe Rogan enough that Joe Rogan he actually got a bigger, wider table, so that the guest was a little bit farther away, so he'd have more time in case he pissed off somebody like Tyson and they decided to charge. You'll look it up. That's a great Joe Rogan story right there. So yeah. You got anything you want to add? Any boxing stories you want to tell?
Nope. My boxing days are so long ago they never existed. So,
Wow. Mine too, technically, but it is an amazing sport. It's fun to watch. They're wearing gloves. They do get hurt, but the whole sport. One of the things I like about boxing, one of the things I really like about boxing, is that it's a sport that was designed to be watched. It's not a sport that was designed. It's not about hurting the other guy. It's about beating him with your fists, and which may sound like hurting him, but it's different. You've got gloves on to protect your opponent and your own hands. You punch somebody in the orbital bone here, you're probably going to break your knuckles. It's designed to be watched. It's designed to be a long fight, and there's a reason why it's 15 3-minute rounds or 12 3-minute rounds. You get a break in between. They want to extend the fight. They want to see who's actually the better combatant. It's not supposed to be realistic like a street fight, because it's not a street fight. Will most boxers win street fights? Yeah, they know how to punch. They know where to punch. They know that punching somebody in the head is not the best way to take them down. It's body blows. Yeah. Anyway, it's designed as a sport to be watched. It's enjoyable to watch. The contestants are going in for a lot of money when they fight. It's a fun sport. So I recommend it. Looking forward to it. And I hope all you truckers out there who like boxing enjoy this little episode.
All right. Well, we will see all of you truckers later.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, okay.
Anybody who knows somebody over at DC, I am, as ever, looking for an opportunity to pitch a movie over there for their superhero movies. So, also, speaking of creating stories, if you can't write what you don't know. So if I want to write a realistic fight, I had to watch boxing. I had to watch wrestling. I had to watch, because I'm not going out and getting into a street fight. There's all sorts of reasons why I'm not getting into street fights, but, so I watched all this stuff. If you want to write something and make it feel real, you got to write what you know. And that comes into all sorts of other things we talk about here. But I know a good fight. I know how to make a fight look good in a story. I know how to make a fight look good on stage or on screen. So anybody over at DC, anybody who knows David Zaslav, I'd love to pitch a movie to you guys. Any truckers out there who can hook that up, much appreciated. So keep on trucking, you blam blam truckers.